Hi, my name is Patrick Mannion. This is an ongoing study on SLA doctoral students' expressions of beliefs about the ideal and obligatory practices of second foreign language instructors. This ongoing exploratory and descriptive case study is an investigation into the beliefs second language acquisition and educational technology doctoral students have regarding the ideal practices of second or foreign language teachers. In particular, this study focuses on the beliefs the participants had regarding the implementation and use of educational technology in second language or foreign language education. Systemic functional linguistics theories on modality may provide insight into how the participants express those beliefs and the relative strength of their beliefs, the degree of obligation, for example. So that's why I wanted to use systemic functional linguistic theory in this paper. The findings indicate that the participants express beliefs that second or foreign language teachers should acquire skills and knowledge related to the use of educational technology. In other words, they should learn how to use educational technology effectively. And they also believe that teachers should have reasons for employing educational technology in their classes. There were several reasons I wanted to engage in this research. One reason is that because the participants are doctoral students in the field of second language acquisition and educational technology, their beliefs are likely to have some influence on other people in the same field, because beliefs tend to correlate with or influence practices. What they believe may impact the way they engage in language teacher education or the kind of research they do in the future. I also thought that I would like to try and explore using the concept of obligation, modal obligation from systemic functional linguistics. I thought this might be a good concept to look at what the participants thought about the ideal or preferred or obligatory practices of language educators. And I see this as an exploratory study. I'd like to engage in this kind of research further, and hopefully somebody else might find this research useful too. These are some areas I looked at for the literature review. I looked at pre- and in-service teachers' beliefs about educational technology, discussion thread use in teacher education, digital storytelling use in teacher education, exploration of multimodal data, and systemic functional linguistics theories. For this study, I looked at digital storytelling use in teacher education. And one of the ways that digital storytelling is used is for identity work. And Vitanova is one example. There are many studies, but it's just one example. Another use is for reflecting upon experiences. Van Galen's another example. And exploring issues, teacher knowledge. And there are a lot of different types of teacher knowledge that are developed in digital storytelling projects. For example, content knowledge. In this case, content would be linguistic knowledge. Pedagogical knowledge, using digital storytelling as a teaching tool. Technological knowledge, learning because digital storytelling involves the use of hardware and software. It develops technological knowledge and skills. And also the TPAC framework, which means technology, pedagogy, and content knowledge. Learning how to use technology to teach content material. And there are some studies that employ that framework. This study took place at a large research university in a suburban area in the southeast of the United States. It took place in a doctoral program focusing on second language acquisition and educational technology in the College of Education. And more specifically, it was in a course on the use of CAL or MAL technology in L2 education, and it was a 6-week summer course. Participants were 16 doctoral students and 1 doctoral candidate in a program focusing on second language acquisition and educational technology. The participant who was a doctoral candidate was observing the course, and the participants were from many countries around the world: China, Cuba, Indonesia, Kuwait, Libya, Malaysia, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, the United States, and Venezuela. And most of the participants had language teaching experience. Many of them were also planning to become university instructors. They represented a sample of convenience because I was in the same doctoral program as them. I did not offer them any rewards for their participation. These are the data I collected. Two of the sets of data were from coursework. One was asynchronous discussion threads that took place in the course's LMS. The course was 6 weeks long, and there was one discussion every week, and the participants made one primary post, and they responded to their classmates' post. And the other course assignment was collaboratively creating digital stories. There were 4 groups of students, so there were 4 digital stories. And these are the subjects: augmented reality, games or educational games, Google Apps, and learning management systems and educational technology in general. And I also collected 2 other kinds of data that weren't coursework. One was 7 semi-structured interviews with 7 participants I chose at random. And also I did a digital survey, and 12 participants responded to that. I did initial coding of the data with MaxQDA. As you can see in the lower left-hand corner, I developed codes related to obligation. The highlighted text on the right is an example of that. Now I'm in the process of analyzing those quotes for modal obligation. For data analysis, I employed the concept of modality from systemic functional linguistics. So, according to Halliday and Matthiessen, modality refers to the area of meaning that lies between yes and no, the intermediate ground between positive and negative polarity. And there are 2 types of modality: modalization, which includes probability and usuality, and modulation, and that's what I looked at. I looked at obligation, primarily obligation. In particular, with data analysis, I looked at the orientation of the participant statements regarding the ideal or obligatory practices of language teachers. And I looked at Thompson's work for a definition of implicit. The term implicit is used when the modality is expressed in the same clause as the main proposition, while explicit is used when it is expressed in a separate clause. Objective and objective. Quote, essentially, speakers may express their point of view in a way that makes it clear that this is their subjective point of view, or they may do it in a way that objectivizes the point of view by making it appear to be a quality of the event itself. So I thought this would be important because when doctoral students express beliefs about the ideal or obligatory practices of language teachers, I wanted to look at where those beliefs came from. Does the authority for that belief reside within the doctoral student, or does it come from outside? I thought that would be interesting to look at. So this slide sort of represents what I wanted to code the data for. So the modality system network of systemic functional linguistics. And I wanted to look at the orientation, and we can describe them as 4 different ones: subjective explicit, subjective implicit, objective explicit, and objective implicit. And also value the degree of obligation, high, medium, or low. Did the participants believe that teachers should do something? Did they express a high degree of obligation, medium, or low? This is a screenshot of a Word document I'm using to code the orientation and value of statements related to ideal or obligatory practices of language education professionals. I'm using question marks because I'm not confident that these are accurate codings. This is the way I'm working through the data. I'm not finished though, I'm still working on this. So I'd like to look at discoveries from thematic analysis to kind of give an overview of the beliefs the participants expressed about the ideal or obligatory practices of teachers. So the participants believe that language teachers should learn about their students to be able to serve their needs better. They also believed that they should employ student-centered educational practices, especially using educational technology.
and that teachers should acquire knowledge of educational technology and keep up with developments for the benefit of their students. And that also they should employ educational technology in their courses to motivate students and to improve learning outcomes. But they also thought that teachers need to apply critical thought before choosing, implementing, and using ET. They should have a reason for using educational technology. They shouldn't just use it because it's fashionable, for example. These are some examples of how I coded some of the statements. It seems I could find many that were subjective, implicit. Many of the participants used phrases should. Teachers should do something. Also, I saw subjective, explicit with phrases like I think. I couldn't find as many objective, explicit or objective, implicit, although this is still ongoing research, so I might find more as I do more data analysis. In a lot of the statements the participants made about ideal practices, they used inclusive language like we. Um, so these are three examples. So I wasn't sure how to code those, if that's obligation or inclination. It seems like it's kind of some of both. So in this discussion, I'd like to address the authority to make statements regarding ideal practices. Where did the participants' authority come from, or how did they make rationales for their statements regarding ideal practices? Um, they believed they were members of a community of doctoral students and nascent language teacher educators and researchers. So they developed a community of practice. So I think that they felt confident in their developing an identity and their membership in a group. So I think that gave them confidence. And they had the support of their colleagues, their classmates, other people in the program. And in their digital stories, they were positioned as experts in second language acquisition and educational technology. The digital storytelling project, in it, they were to imagine that they were creating the digital stories to promote mobile assisted language learning technology or computer assisted language learning technology in a professional development environment. So, in other words, they were making videos that promoted the use of technology in second language teaching to in-service teachers. And that made them sort of feel as if they were experts in their field of SLA and ET. And the digital stories themselves served as artifacts or testimonials of their expertise. Some participants referred to standards as rationales for their beliefs. For example, TESOL or WIDA. They have standards about teaching practices and educational technology use. And there were also other sources for their beliefs about practices. That teachers should make learning relevant, interesting, and effective for digital natives. And that digital natives expect the use of educational technology. And also, I'd like to point out that most of the participants were in their first or second year in the doctoral program. So it's, of course, entirely possible that their beliefs will change over the course of their studies there. So that would be interesting to look into in the future. Implications for research. Learning about current or future language instructors, teacher educators, and researchers' beliefs about ideal practices may shed light on different areas, including notions of professional identities in the field of language education. What language teacher education and professional development needs to address in regard to the use of educational technology in L2 education, and possible future directions in teacher education related practice and research. I believe studies like this may have implications for practice. Learning about future language instructors or teacher educators or researchers' beliefs about ideal teaching practices may prove useful for different purposes, including topics to address in teacher education or professional development, such as further training in TPAC and an emphasis on learner-centered education, and promotion of development of positive language teacher identities. There are some limitations to the study. To begin with, understanding systemic functional linguistics theory has been very challenging for me, and I may be very mistaken in my application of it. And I also may have overlooked or failed to identify other participant statements regarding ideal practices of teachers. And some statements can involve more than one topic, so maybe my decisions about how to code them are incorrect. Thank you for viewing my presentation. I will try to respond to any comments or questions where this video is posted.